the island of Patmos, a barren rock in the Aegean Sea. Night has fallen. An old man sits alone. His name is John, once a fisherman, once a disciple, now an exile. He's exhausted, worn by years of persecution, haunted by memories of his brothers martyred, his eyes close. And then, heaven tears open. Light floods his mind, not with his eyes, with his spirit. He begins to see a woman, clothed with the sun, the moon beneath her feet, a crown of 12 stars on her head. She's in labor, crying out. The pain is unbearable. Something is about to be born. But she's not alone. A massive dragon appears, red as blood, 7 heads, 10 horns, 7 crowns, blazing with arrogance. Its tail sweeps a third of the stars from the sky, hurling them to the earth. And it waits, crouched, watching, ready to devour the child the moment it's born. This is Revelation chapter 12, one of the most mysterious, most debated, most haunting visions in all of Scripture. And for 2,000 years, believers have asked the same question. Who is this woman? Is she Mary, the mother of Jesus? Is she Israel, God's covenant nation? Is she the church, the bride of Christ? Or is she something bigger than all of them? Let's go back to the vision. John watches. The woman gives birth. A male child, one who will rule all nations with an iron scepter. That language comes from Psalm 2, a Messianic prophecy. This child is the Messiah. But the dragon lunges. It tries to destroy him. And suddenly, the child is caught up, snatched to God's throne. Safe, untouchable. The dragon has failed. Then war breaks out, not on earth, in heaven. Michael and his angels fight the dragon. The dragon fights back, but he's not strong enough. He's thrown down, cast out of heaven, to the earth, and a voice thunders. Now have come the salvation and the power and the kingdom of our God, for the accuser of our brothers has been hurled down. The dragon is enraged. He turns his fury on the woman, pursues her into the wilderness. But she's given wings. Like an eagle, she flies to a place prepared for her, protected, nourished, for a time, times, and half a time. The dragon tries to sweep her away with a flood, but the earth swallows the flood. She survives. Furious, the dragon goes off to make war against the rest of her offspring, those who obey God's commands, those who hold to the testimony of Jesus. That's the vision. Cosmic, violent, mysterious. So the question returns, who is she? Let's start with the most personal interpretation. Mary, the mother of Jesus. This view has ancient roots. Early church fathers saw her here. Catholic and Orthodox traditions hold it strongly. And the connections are real. The woman gives birth to a male child. Mary gave birth to Jesus. The child rules the nations with an iron scepter. That's Christ. No question. The dragon tries to kill the child at birth. Herod tried to kill Jesus. Matthew chapter 2, the slaughter of the innocents. The child is caught up to God's throne. Jesus ascended. He sits at the right hand of the Father. So far it fits. And there's more. In John's Gospel, Jesus calls Mary woman. At the wedding in Cana, at the cross, woman, behold your son. Could Revelation 12 be calling her the same? Woman, clothed with the glory of the sun, crowned with the 12 apostles. The moon, the old covenant, under her feet. It's poetic, it's powerful, but there are problems. The vision doesn't end with the child. It continues. The woman flees into the wilderness. She's protected for 1,260 days. That doesn't fit Mary's life. She didn't flee into the desert for years after Jesus ascended. She remained with the disciples, in Jerusalem, in community. And then there's this. The dragon makes war on the rest of her offspring, those who follow Jesus. If the woman is Mary, who are the rest of her children? Believers? That's possible, but it stretches the metaphor. So while the Mary interpretation has beauty and tradition, it doesn't explain everything. Which brings us back to the question, is this vision bigger than one person? Let's look at the second interpretation. Israel. This view has strong Old Testament roots. and the symbolism lines up powerfully. The woman is clothed with the sun. The moon is under her feet. She wears a crown of 12 stars. Where have we seen that before? Genesis 37. Joseph has a dream. The sun, the moon, and 11 stars bow down to him. His father Jacob understands immediately. The sun is Jacob. The moon is his wife. The 11 stars are Joseph's brothers. Add Joseph, and you have 12. The 12 tribes of Israel. So when John sees a woman crowned with 12 stars, he's seeing Israel. The prophets used this image constantly. Isaiah called Israel a woman in labor. Jeremiah spoke of Zion's birth pangs. Micah prophesied that Israel would give birth to a ruler. Micah 5 verses 2-3. But you, Bethlehem, out of you will come a ruler. His origins are from of old. Therefore Israel will be abandoned until the time she who is in labor gives birth. That's Revelation 12 language. Birth, ruler, abandonment, protection. And the child, the Messiah, born from Israel, Jewish, descendant of David, the hope of the nations. The dragon trying to devour the child? That's the story of Israel's history. Pharaoh tried to destroy the Hebrew children. Haman tried to annihilate the Jews. Herod tried to kill the infant king. Rome tried to crush the Christian movement. Again and again, the enemy has tried to stop God's plan. And again, he's failed. The child is caught up to God's throne. Jesus a saints. Israel's Messiah is enthroned. The woman flees into the wilderness. Israel scatters. The diaspora, persecution, exile, but she's protected, preserved. Even through centuries of suffering, the Jewish people survive. Against all odds, the dragon makes war on the rest of her offspring, the followers of Jesus, Jewish and Gentile believers, the spiritual children of Abraham. This interpretation has weight. It connects the Old and New covenants. It honors Israel's role in redemption. But some ask, is this only about a nation? Or is the vision even larger? Which brings us to the third view. The woman represents the people of God. Not just Mary, not just ethnic Israel, but the faithful across all ages. This is how apocalyptic literature works. It uses symbols, images that contain layers. The woman could be Eve, the mother of all living, promised a seed who would crush the serpent's head. Genesis 3 verse 15. She could be the faithful remnant in the Old Testament, those who waited for Messiah. She could be Mary, the individual who bore Christ. She could be Israel, the nation through whom redemption came. And she could be the church, the bride of Christ, clothed in righteousness, protected in the wilderness of this age, pursued by the enemy, but ultimately safe. Because here's the key, Revelation uses symbolic language intentionally. The lamb isn't a literal lamb. The beast isn't a literal monster. The dragon isn't a literal reptile. They're symbols, rich, multidimensional, meant to convey spiritual truth. So the woman may not be one person or one nation. She may be the whole story. From Eve to Mary, from Sarah to the church, the faithful line through whom God works, the ones who carry the promise, the ones the enemy tries to destroy, but cannot. This interpretation doesn't erase the others. It includes them. Mary was part of God's people. Israel is central to the story. The church continues the mission. All of them woven together, one tapestry of grace. But there's still one more layer we haven't fully explored. The dragon. Revelation 12 verse 9 identifies him clearly. The great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil, or Satan, who leads the whole world astray. This is the enemy, the accuser, the one who has fought God's plan from the beginning. He was in Eden. He was in Egypt. He was in Babylon. He was in Rome. He's been behind every empire that tried to crush God's people, every tyrant who claimed to be God, every lie that twisted truth. And when Jesus was born, the dragon was there. Herod's massacre wasn't just political. It was spiritual warfare. The cross wasn't just Roman execution. It was Satan's attempt to destroy the Messiah. But it backfired. The death of Christ became the defeat of Satan. The resurrection shattered the dragon's power. The ascension enthroned the king. And the war in heaven? That's the cosmic reality behind the earthly story. When Jesus died and rose, Satan's legal right to accuse was destroyed. His access to heaven was revoked. He was cast down, not in the future, in the past, at the cross. Jesus said it himself in Luke 10, verse 18. I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. The dragon has been defeated, but he's not done fighting. He's enraged. He knows his time is short, so he turns his fury on the woman's offspring, on believers, on the church, on anyone who follows Jesus. That's why there's persecution. That's why there's suffering. Not because God is weak, but because the enemy is desperate. And here's the hope. The woman is protected. She's given wings. She's nourished in the wilderness. God doesn't remove her from the battle, but he sustains her through it. The flood the dragon sends? It's swallowed up. His attacks fail. Because the child has already won. The Messiah cannot be destroyed. The plan cannot be stopped. Redemption is secure. And that brings us to the deeper meaning. Revelation 12 isn't primarily about identity. It's about victory. It's not just asking, who is the woman? It's declaring the child cannot be stopped. Evil tried. Death tried. Hell tried. And they all failed. The Messiah was born. He lived. He died. He rose. He ascended. He reigns. And nothing, no dragon, no empire, no army, no lie, can undo that. The woman represents everyone who carries that hope. Mary, who said yes. Israel, who bore the promise. The church, who proclaims the gospel. Believers in every age who hold to the testimony of Jesus. All of them are pursued. All of them face the dragon's rage. But all of them are protected, nourished, sustained. Not because they're strong, but because the child is. So who is the woman in Revelation 12? Maybe she's Mary, the faithful mother who bore the Savior. Maybe she's Israel, the nation through whom Messiah came. Maybe she's the church, the people redeemed by his blood. Or maybe, just maybe, she's all of them. Woven together in one prophetic picture, a symbol of God's unstoppable plan, a reminder that no matter how fierce the enemy, no matter how dark the night, the child has already won. And the woman? She's still standing, because the dragon was cast down, and the Lamb is on the throne. So who is the woman in Revelation 12? Mary? Israel? The faithful people of God? Or all of them woven into one prophetic picture? The vision doesn't demand one answer. It invites you to see the whole story. From Genesis to Revelation. From promise to fulfillment. From warfare to victory. The woman is still here. The child still reigns. And the dragon, he's already lost.